Hello, everybody. All right, so hopefully everybody's having a good week as far as we've reached kind of towards the end of the week here. Of course, be back here tomorrow night for the Google Comic retrospect, but tonight we of course will have actually tonight we're gonna have a couple of stories. One will be the Indie Comic Showcase. The other will be there's another article that I wanted to go over real quick before we get to the Indie Comic Showcase. But before we do that, I do need to step away from the computer for a moment. I will be right back. But what I will do, of course, is I'll put some music on for you guys to keep you entertained while I'm away. Let me just go ahead and do that. I'll be right back. All right, hey, Jr. Yeah, Lena and Lena. All right, sorry about the delay, folks. Just had some issues to take care of. Hopefully, taking care of them now. Anyways, so as I was saying earlier, we have a couple of articles we're going to go over from Bleeding Fool. Um, With that, why don't we get of course, the Indie Comics Showcase, but also there's one other article we're going to go over tonight, plus the wrestling wrap up and this day each history. Oh, why don't we go ahead and get going here? So before we get to the Indie Comics Showcase, there was one other article I saw in here that I thought would be of interest. Another comic book article here. Let's take a look at this. All right, so Antarctic Press taking Mike Barron's Thin Blue Line to comic shops. Article by Chris Braley, published back on Tuesday, a couple days ago. Now, Thin Blue Line is getting ready to head into the comic book shop. So, back in 2020, two-time Eisner Award-winning writer Mike Baron, best known for his work on Nexus, The Punisher, and The Flash, was so moved by the riots around the U.S., he wanted to tell a story ripped from the headlines that would humanize the unsung, villainized police officers that he knew. The response was The Thin Blue Line. Initially, he pitched the 56-page story to indie comic publishers, but the shocking amount of vitriol he got back in response convinced him that the only way this story would ever get published was if he did it himself. And if y'all remember, that was talked about quite a bit over the time. And I know a number of people, including R.J. Carter and Doc Blaylock and many others in Ethan Van Sciver, had sought to help promote that book when it came out. And as always, guys, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the screen, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage, that would be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best ability. So, Mike Barron is no stranger to self-publishing. He has successfully crowdfunded a handful of graphic novels, and at the time, he had just fulfilled his first Florida Man graphic novel, along with a prose novel for his own superhero, the Badger. But he wasn't expecting how Thin Blue Line would strike a chord with comic book fans, and he saw the campaign eventually raise almost $150,000 in funding. So far, this has been the most successful crowdfunding campaign Mike's ever been part of. Now that success has led to its natural conclusion as Thin Blue Line will become available in comic shops around the world in March 2024 as a one-shot comic book published by Antarctic Press. So I couldn't be happier to be working with Ben Dunn and his team. This story is very important to me, and I like how Antarctic has handled it. Unquote, Barron says. Quote, I have always ripped stories from the headlines in Punisher, in Nexus. This is the stuff of good drama. I felt I could write a compelling, entertaining story around it, and I did. And now it's going to be available to anyone who has a local comic shop. Unquote. Thin Blue Line follows police officer Valeria Baca and her partner Bob Mack as their detail guarding the mayor turns into a fight for survival. Mobs burn down City Hall, a la Portland, Oregon, forcing the officers to improvise on the run, relying only on their training and wits as the mayor's protestations and eagerness to placate the rioters prove fruitless. Readers follow the harrowing journey of two law enforcement officers who must fight for the community and their own survival in a world gone mad. Yeah, one of the things you see in the thing there, you got the word pigs in a circle and with a basically saying no pigs. I was mentioning this early, when we were talking about um, how Mark Miller had created the term "cancel pigs," and I was pointing out how apropos that was, considering that you know the social justice warriors consider themselves like social media police. So it just kind of goes to show you that how cancel pigs applies there. Since pigs is used as a derogatory term towards police, and how those who would try to police the internet are also, now have that how they have that um, derogative um, term used against them. One time it was a great when they were using it against God. Now people are using it against them. It's not so great, right? All right. So, anyways, back to the article here. Mainstream comics publishers haven't featured cops as a central hero in decades. Well, maybe 1 or 2 decades, because I do remember when I was buying comics back in the mid 2000s. I remember one of the comics I actually got was back then it was Gotham Central, where of course the Gotham Police Department were the main characters. You had Maggie Story that transferred from Metropolis PD, and then you had Renee Montoya, Crispus Allen, all that. So been at least a couple of decades, though, probably since that. But anyways, um, right. But a few older readers may be familiar with DC Comics' last experiment with a police protagonist from way back in 1970. Well, there's been one since, as I said. Okay, so maybe with their time, how it is when they focus on just an individual cop. As I said, because they did have Gotham Central back in the mid to late 2000s. So way back in 1975 with Officer Lisa Warner in a tale called Lady Cop from DC First Issue number 4, cover date July 1975, a few months before I was born, of course. The title was never picked up for a series, and the character wouldn't appear in DC Comics again for over 30 years. So, in Thin Blue Line, the quote unquote lady cop is a protagonist named Officer Val Baca, a street level protector in her community in Hagen, Illinois. Oh, my condolences. Who is also trying to raise her little girl as a single mother. Aaron's creative team consisted of active duty police officer Joseph Arnold, who did the pencils and layouts, illustrator Jeff Schlemans, who handled the inks and finishes. The book is colored by Ichsan Ansori and lettered by Warren Montgomery. It's clear from the finished work that they put their hearts and souls into every page of this book. The 64-page one-shot comic on Antarctic comes in two versions. with the main cover by artist Sergio Cariello, who was involved with Daredevil and the Action Bible, and a blazing variant cover by Butch Guice from Action Comics and Alpha Flight. Yeah, that cover is reminiscent of some movie posters of of cop war zone type movies. Aaron says he understands that the topic of police can be politically charged subject. Be a quote. I realize many indie comic publishers and creators openly supported the defund the police movement, quote unquote, on their social media, unquote. Barron adds, quote, but I believe this wildly entertaining and timely story deserved to be told, particularly in light how the media regularly portrays law enforcement officers as unfeeling monsters. The truth is they're diverse people with flaws, unique perspectives, and personal struggles. And what makes this story stand apart is that it's not a police recruitment pamphlet. It's not preachy. It's just entertaining and exciting, and very simply demonstrates that not all heroes are perfect, and not all heroes wear capes. Unquote. The campaign exceeded the team's expectations to such a degree that they were able to donate thousands of dollars to multiple police assistance programs, including Adopt a Cop, BJJ, the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, and National Fallen Officers Foundation. A few copies of a limited run, oversized black and white autographed hardcover edition of the story was still available at thinbluelinecomics.com. Antarctic's version of the graphic novel will be in a stapled comic format, and while it's the same story, it will cost far less than the square-bound premium style book that were distributed through the Kickstarter and Indiegogo campaigns last year. Antarctic will be shipping the comics to stores and comic shops March 17th, 2024, and has made it available for pre-order now at Previews World and in the January 2024 edition of Previews. All right, so there we go with that one. And Mike Barron is going to be quite a feature today because I think in the Indie Comic Showcase I saw a title that may be referring to a title that he's involved with Florida Man versus Hogzilla. I think that's Mike Barron's work as well. Anyways, we continue on. As I said, if you haven't already, if you guys can help me out by liking, sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, with that, why don't we go ahead and move on to the next article here. Let me just check them before I go. Alrighty then, so let's get moving on to the next article here. Alright, so Indie Comic Showcase number 254, Florida Man vs. Hogzilla, Jizzadai, and I Hate AIs, article by Chris Braley, published yesterday. Let's get into this. Let's see what on time there. Okay. See Ben. All right, welcome back to another installment of Indie Comic Showcase, a weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just completely self-publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a $1 pledge, the $25 bundle, and of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. On Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the product for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. Florida Man versus Hogzilla by Mike Barron. So speaking of Mike Barron, as we were just in that last article there. There's Florida Man right there, yes. And let's go grab that link so we can. All right. And the campaign is ending January 4th, so I'm thinking that's about a week away here. Just grab the link here. I don't know. I think this might be Mike's own. So here's the name of the story, and here's the. I'll put it up. So here's the link for everybody if you want to go check this particular campaign out from Mike Barron. I think this is from his own website. So you guys want to go check that out for a moment. All right. So let's get into this article, as it were. All right, Chris Braley. Welcome back to Indie Comic Showcase, Mike. What's the pitch for Florida Man versus Hogzilla? Mike Barron. Following the loss of his lottery winnings, in small quotes, Florida man Gary is forced to vacate the $5 million mansion he and Crystal bought. When a 1,000-pound feral swine begins savaging Kensington Gardens, the neighborhood HOA begs Gary to come back and bag the beast. Chris. Is this a sequel to your first Florida Man graphic novel from 2021? Mike, in a way, but the first one isn't required reading. These are the continuing adventures of my quote unquote, or in smaller quotes, Florida man, Gary Duba. He's a redneck living in a trailer down by the swamp. He's got a hair trigger temper, likes to get high, likes to get stoned, been in and out of trouble his whole life. But he's got a heart of gold and would give you the shirt off his back. His girl Crystal stumbled into professional wrestling by accident when she attacked some police, um, including a 3-foot black dildo. Okay. Okay. Her girlfriend recorded it and put it up, and before you can say "boy howdy," it has 3 million views. But they can't call her the Black Dildo, but not on TV. So she wrestles under the stage name Steely Danielle. Steely Danielle, as in like Steely Dan. Those you may not know. That's about all you need to know from the first book. The graphic novel stands pretty solidly on its own. I guess that's Steely Danielle, as it were, and of course, Gary on the right there. Anyways, as we continue on here, Chris, is this the same story as your Hogzilla prose novel? Mike, no. The graphic novels are different from the novels. In the novels, I have a lot more room to stretch. So there are numerous events that don't make it into the graphic novels. Florida Man vs. Hogzilla is constructed like a classic Rube Goldberg machine with multiple, seemingly disparate events put in motion that all come together at the end. Ah, okay, that's how it is. The graphic novel opens with a red tarantula plot. That's new to the comic, but the toilet snake plot point, which appeared in the first graphic novel, comes full circle and reveals its true purpose here. Okay. Chris, um, how did you and your artist Matthew Weldon end up getting together on this project? Mike, I first worked with Matt Weldon on Monster Hunt 2, Let's Get Kraken. This was a team-up book featuring Nexus, Lone Star, and Bigfoot Bill. Thanks to Mike S. Miller and Doug Tenaple, it also features my version of Galactus, otherwise known as Gormando. So kind of taking galactic, taking the part of the name of Dormammu with Galactus, probably making him look like Galactus. Matt really knocked it out of the park there, but outdid himself on Florida Man 2. He has a unique style that is suited to both superheroes and comedy, and he was a natural for a Florida Man. Just outstanding work. Chris, besides you and Matt, who else is on your creative team? Mike, Marcelo Salaza is the inker and finisher. Matt only did the layouts for most of the book. So we brought Marcelo in to put the finishing touches on it. Marcelo did the same for us on the previous graphic novel. Marcelo Freire did the colors for us again. He handled the colors on Private American. Carlos Mangual was our letterer, and I worked with him last on Bronze Star. We also got a great pinup from by my friend Richard Bonk, another from newcomer Archie Williams. Then, of course, we have a gorgeous wraparound cover by Matt Weldon, and a handful of variant covers by Minori Rogue, Pat Broderick, and Adam Miller. Here are some of the covers for that. Matthew Weldon's cover A, Wraparound. And the cover B from Minori Rogue, limited quantity, Crystal's Kill Bill. All right. Vacation Homage by Adam Miller. And then the Rodeo Clown by Pat Broderick. Some interesting covers there, to say the least. All right. As I said, feel free to comment and or ask questions if anything here grabs your attention. With that, as we continue on here. So Chris asks, so how far along is the graphic novel? Mike, it's done. We just wrapped up the lettering, so once the campaigns wrap up next week, we're placing our order with the printer. Should be delivering sometime in March 2024. See, Chris then asked, what kind of comic book reader will get the most enjoyment out of Florida Man vs. Hogzilla? Mike, if you love to laugh, this comic is for you. But I would say it's geared towards a PG-13 audience. It's not very harsh, nothing gruesome, no hardcore nudity or sex with animals. Although, according to the headline, sex with animals is sadly a regular occurrence in Florida. Oh boy. But readers older than 12 and on up will be delighted. All right. Chris, haha, okay. Any cool perks on this campaign? Mike, yes. If you missed the first graphic novel, we've got you covered on this campaign. You can get a copy of the first one. And we also have a great beach party bundle with some gear manufactured by my friends at Redneck Nation. All top shelf stuff. This campaign ends on January 5th. So about a little over a week away. So don't delay checking it out. All right, so a week from tomorrow, basically, I believe, is when they're saying the campaign ends. Let's see. Chris then says, "Thanks, Mike. Any final words?" Mike responds, "My number one priority is to entertain readers, and particularly with Florida Man, it's to make you laugh. Readers are going to do just that with this book. You will laugh out loud and then read it again and laugh some more. In fact, I think they're going to have so much fun with this book. You will jam this book in your friend's hands and tell them to read it too." So he's got a couple books kind of that he's promoting right now. He's got, of course, this one, Florida Man vs. Hogzilla, and then we just saw he's doing Thin Blue Line through Antarctic Press now. At least getting that into stores. So that's pretty. He's pretty busy right now. Looks like. Anyways, let's get ready to move on to the next book here. Let's see. Jisadai by Daniel P. Riley. And let's go grab that link so you guys can. And this is a Fun My Comic project, it looks like. Let's see what. Jisadai. Oh, there you go. There's so if you want to go check that out, there it is. Let's get moving on to the article here. Just a Die by Daniel P. Riley. Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comic Showcase. Daniel, what's the pitch for Just a Die? Daniel Riley, a nanotech enhanced corporate samurai finds there's more to life when he saves a sex trafficked girl in a rainy back street of Harajuku in Tokyo. Turning against his own company to keep her safe, a Kurosawa-inspired tale of redemption set in a dystopian future. Jisadai #1 is the 32-page debut comic of Daniel P. Riley's crusade to break into multimedia entertainment, going from novels to comics and comics to animation. The special edition campaign launch is, in small quote, color pop, small quote, ascending black and white pages and with a splash of color, and will only be available until January 31st, 2024, when black and white print on demand copies go live. This is aimed at manga readers, anime fans, and lovers of epic sword fights. All right. Kristen asks, where did the idea for this comic come from? Daniel, years ago I wrote Jisadai because I loved the imagery and concept of Kurosawa films and wuxia movies, where the question of morality was answered in which fighter had the heart, passion, and strength of will to win the duel. The artistry of debate by combat fascinated me, and soon Gabriel of the Suzakushin Holy Eight and Koreta Hana, or Broken Flower, were born. At the time, Comicsgate had grown into the forefront of nerd culture, but I was an author, so I wrote the first novella, and inspired by EVS, Eric July, and many others, forged my own path as an indie and Iron Age creator. It had been a dream of mine to create comics, so I watched and learned from those who came forward before me, then put together this comic over a period of 8 months with help of a hired artist. I can't draw to save my life. Yeah, many of us can't. As I said, feel free to comment and or ask questions if anything here catches your attention. Um, anyways, let's see. So Chris then asked, who is your creative team on this? Daniel, Kevin Jacob, a veritable Swiss Army knife of an artist, took on the drawing, lines, and lettering himself. I had heard of him through a friend and fellow author who hired him to work on concept art and some comic work. An absolute godsend. My colorist is Ariana Riley, or as my fans and friends know her on X, my beloved daughter. Um, she gave me the idea for the color pop accents um, that prompted the campaign. Hey, Chris then asked, tell me a bit about your writing style and creative process. Daniel, learning to transform what I had written as a novel into a storyboard was a challenge. Thankfully, I had hired a talented artist in Kevin. Um, Together, using his visual understanding and my literary understanding, we were able to take my visceral visual cues and make them into compelling imagery. Readers of the novels know that Jisadai has incredible depth, spirit, and brutal action in its pages. I wanted to make sure that was communicated in the comic pages. Um, Chris then asked here, what are you? I guess what are learning? But I think it's supposed to be what are you learning from the process of indie publishing crowdfunding? Um, Daniel then responds here. Um, Perhaps the most difficult part of self-pub crowdfunding process is the marketing, as it always is for us in Comicsgate and the Iron Age of entertainment, as Razorfist put it. Networking with other creatives has been a true joy. Um, though given me though and given me more opportunities to share this beautiful, deadly tale of redemption with more and more people. It's wild and exciting to do something um, that I daydreamed about as a teen and adult. With all the logistics are planned out from printing to distribution, and the comic is done. And that's the most important part. It's taken us 8 long months to put this together slowly and steadily over 2023. However, my goal with the special edition campaign is to quickly fund most of the costs so I can put Kevin and Ariana both to work on the next issue immediately and cut production time in half. I would love to produce 2 to 3 comics per year. The campaign for backers is to help me produce faster. That's the gist of it. To give those backers something special, recreated the Color Pop Accent Edition, and it looks unbelievable. Don't take my word for it, go check it out for yourself. As my ultimate goal is to cross into multimedia, I do have stretch goals in mind where I will immediately give the green light to an animation team um, to create a test short that I can then share with potential investors and take this project even further into the entertainment market. Let's see, Chris then asks, are there more stories to tell in this universe? Let's see. Daniel then responds, each series based on the novellas will be at least 6 issues per story arc. Each story arc is part of the novella series of the same name. I have planned out 18 potential novellas in the book series with 6 issues per novella. That's a lot of comics. So 18 novellas at 6 issues per novella. That's going to be 108 issues right there. Well, wow, he's going to write 100 issues of comics here. That's quite ambitious. Let's see, Chris. Well, thanks, Daniel. Any final words about this campaign before we wrap up? Daniel then responds, this project is a labor of love, a love of fiction, comics and cartoons, anime, all rolled into one. And with it, I have folded my dream of establishing a multimedia company that can take indie creators like myself to new heights for their incredible stories. It's not about me, it's about you, the fans of heart-clenching storytelling, blistering battles, and more important, fun. I've spent years working with comic creators and authors, helping everyone with an incredible story to tell, find their way to sharing it with the world. This is one more compelling step towards success. All right. And before I do get into this last one, I hate AIs. I do need to step away from the computer for a moment. I'll be right back. I'll put some music on while I'm gone for you guys. But I will be right back. right, I'm back now. So, anyways, sorry about that, folks. I'll get ready to continue on here. I Hate AIs by Daniel Sosa. Let's go grab the link there so I can share it with you guys. This looks like another Fun My Comic project. It would appear this one's kind of just starting out, it would appear, because nobody's bought into it yet. So there's the link right there if you guys want to check that out. For I Hate AIs. All right, so let's get into this part of the article here. So, Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, Daniel. Can you give me your elevator pitch for I Hate AIs? Daniel Sosa. Kayla, a young aspiring artist who uncovers a sinister background while investigating the emergence of an AI that permeates every corner of entertainment. She's haunted by daily nightmares about a catastrophic event where the AI unleashes demons and creatures into our world. These nightmares drive her to dive into the world of magic, exploring different parts of the globe that hold sway over the energy that AI will use to manifest. This comic is aimed at young adult readers. So basically another comic going after the whole issue over AI usage, artificial intelligence, as it were. You know, it's been a big thing that's got talked about quite a bit recently. Let's see. Kristen asks, "What inspired the story and led to your decision to self-publish?" Um, let's see, Daniel. Um, the idea arose with the great struggle of hundreds of thousands of artists who saw that their work was stolen to train different IAS. Okay, I don't know. Maybe it was supposed to be AIs, but so I tried to have a deep message of reflection using the adventures of Kayla, a young artist who must fight when her world and when her world enter chaos thanks to AI. I decided to do it on my own because I like to have control of all aspects. So for some time now, I have been learning everything I can about creating comics. Chris, tell me about your art style and how you developed it. My drawing style is semi-realistic in terms of anatomy. I try to make my characters expressive. I focus a lot on details so that my art is of quality finishes and color are vital for me. I want to deliver a quality project. I have a good story, good characters, with interesting arcs that not only remain in the plot, each character is designed to leave a reflection and identify with them. If I manage to finance my campaign, we will see the rest of the characters and situations. In other words, if we can get the thing going. Chris, introduce me to your creative team on this project. Daniel, my work my work team is made up of three people. I am the creator, writer, and main artist. My brother, Jorge Sosa, handled the script, editing, and its narratives and his narrative supervisor. Kenya is our secondary artist in charge of color and secondary line art. She is a work colleague with whom I have created other projects in the last 2 years. Chris, what have you been learning from creating um, through this campaign? Daniel, for the last 2 years, I focused on creating um, the story, and and I wanted to know how to do everything on my own. Today, I know how to create sequential art. I learned about graphic narrative, character creation, um, page editing, color. In short, I became a better artist and writer. Um, Regarding crowdfunding, I think it is a wonderful tool for small and unknown creators to share their stories. Chris, are there more stories to tell in this universe? Let's see. Daniel, the full story is complete, and we have material for 90 pages of volumes 1 and 2. The story of Kayla and her passage through the mystical arts, her crusade to stop I think it's supposed to be AI, not IA event, is considered to be at least 9 issues. So, yes, we have plans to expand and create a comic franchise where we learn about all the occult background that is currently present in the world. We are big fans of esotericism and conspiracy theories. So there is still a lot to tell. Chris, sounds very cool. Any final words for our readers? Daniel, if you are fans of Hellboy, Hellblazer, or Midnight Suns, then this comic is for you. I think we offer something I haven't seen before, the chance for you to participate in the story. Through the rewards of the project, anyone can affect the protagonist by voting for alternative endings and even become one of the characters that crosses Kayla's path. That'd be interesting indeed. We believe that this system is attractive and innovative. And then Chris says, "Good luck, Daniel." So that's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign or have a comic available for purchase online, and you want to be featured in our weekly column, click here. And follow Indie Comic Showcase on Twitter at Indie Comics and reach out to them for more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Till next time, support Indie Comics. All right, so there we go with that. Now that we are, of course, with that, now we'll get ready to move on to the wrestling wrap up here, as we had some news coming out of WWE, and with WWE 3 weeks away, they continue to prepare for with Royal Rumble 3 weeks away here. They continue to prepare for that, but also actually, I'm trying to think. I believe there was another recent re-signing, as a number of talents have been re-signing, getting locked into contracts. Can't remember off the top of my head. So moving on to AEW, last night's Dynamite saw some things go down. And on last night's Dynamite, in the let's see, so in the opening match, saw John Moxley defeat both Jay White and Storm Strickland in the Gold League final of the Continental Classic match. He goes on to face the winner of the Blue League final match, Eddie Kingston, who defeated Bryan Danielson. Kingston came back from down an 0-2 deficit to win his remaining remaining 3 matches to earn the 9 points to challenge Bryan Danielson, whom he lost to earlier in the round. So now it'll be John Moxley and Eddie Kingston this Saturday at World's End. We'll get to that in a moment. I'll give you the final lineup for that in a moment here. Sky Blue defeated Chris Statlander in a one-on-one match. And then we have new Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, even though, from what I understand, Samoa Joe made a deal with the devil. He turned on MJF, in which MJF had to defend the titles in the ring against the Devil's Maskmen, who are still haven't been revealed to be who exactly they are. So now, let me go ahead also and find out here. Let me tell you about what's going to be happening this Saturday. This Saturday there will be Saturday will be World's End. First up on the pre-show, let's see what they got scheduled for the pre-show for the zero hour, which will be featured on now, even though it hasn't been announced who exactly will be participating yet, there will be a number one contendership battle royal for the next number one contender to the AEW TNT title, which of course is currently held by Christian Cage. Of course, Christian Cage will be defending against Adam Copeland. We'll again talk about that in a moment. Also in an FTW rules match, Hook defends the FTW title against Ring of Honor Pure Rules champion Wheeler Yuta. We have that. So let's look at what's going to go down for the World's End pay-per-view on Fight TV. Opening match is going to see Big Bill, the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Big Bill and Ricky Starks teaming with the Don Callis family members of Ring of Honor World Television Champion Kyle Fletcher and Hobbs to take on Darby Allin, Sting, and Le Sex Gods, Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho. In another 8-man tag match, Brody King, Jay Lethal, Jay White, and Roosh will be teaming up to take on 2 members of the Blackpool Combat Club of Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, and Mark Briscoe. So in essence, you have what looks like 4 So like 4 members each of the other 4 of the other 5 losers in each league, gold and will be teaming up to take each other on, basically. Andrade El Idolo will be taking on Miro. Then match kind of set up by the fact that Miro's wife, CJ Perry, decided to come into AEW and go into business for herself and decided to manage Andrade El Idolo. Of course, any man, the idea of his wife being in the corner of another man is probably not something that's too thrilling. Swerve Strickland will be taking on Keith Lee. Keith Lee looks for some revenge for Swerve Strickland, putting him on the shelf a few months back. Prince Non-OP, of course, in Swerve Strickland's corner. Christian Cage, as we were talking about earlier, Christian Cage defends the TNT title in a no disqualification match against Adam Copeland, his former tag partner. In a match for the TBS title, Julia Hart will be defending against Abaddon. For the AEW Women's World title, Toni Storm with Luther in her corner will be taking on Riho. In the Continental Classic Championship final, this is the match to determine the first ever AEW Triple Crown, which consists of the AEW's Continental Championship, newly established in this tournament, the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight title, and the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight title. Eddie Kingston taking on Jon Moxley to see who will lead with that belt. And then, of course, the main event, MJF defends the AEW World title against Samoa Joe. So that's all that we have for you in the wrestling wrap-up here. So now what we'll do is I'll do now is I will go ahead and today being Thursday, December 28th, 2023. Let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. History! Alright, so anyways. First off, we head back 75 years ago today. So on this date, 75 years ago today, the 215th issue of the Four Color series, this time titled Sparkle Party from Dell Comics, went on sale on newsstand on this date 75 years ago today. Sold for 10 cents, 32 pages. So on this day, 75 years ago today, 215th issue of the Four Colors comic franchise, this one titled Sparkle Party, went on sale on this date 75 years ago today, sold for 10 cents for 32 pages. So with that, getting ready to move on to the next piece of Nietzsche history here. On this date, 25 years ago today, on this date, 25 years ago today, WCW held its Monday Nitro event from the Baltimore Arena the night after Starrcade. The night after Starrcade here, in which in the main event saw Ric Flair defeat Eric Bischoff in an everything on the line match. What if I remember correctly, that was around the time that Flair and Bischoff were really having some major issues with each other. This was a match in which Flair had become the new WCW president. Some of the other matches on the night included Scott Hall defeating Bryan Adams, Scott Steiner becoming the new WCW television champion, basically for the second time in his career, defeating Conan. Eddie Guerrero and Juventud Guerrera defeating Kidman and Rey Mysterio Jr. And then you had the night open with the Cat defeating Shima Nobunaga. So on this night, 25 years ago today, WCW held its Monday Nitro event from the Baltimore Arena. Now, getting ready to move on to the next piece of niche history here. On this date in 2013, 10 years ago today, Hasbro Studios Kaijubo was canceled on this date. On the Hub Network. On this date back in 2013, 10 years ago today, Kaijudo from Hasbro Studios was canceled on this date from the Hub Network on this date 10 years ago, back in 2013. And finally, last piece of niche history here. On this date in this date 10 years ago as well, was a Japanese premiere of Ufotable's Yo-Yo and Nene, the Little Witch Sisters. On this date, 10 years ago today, Ufotable's Yo-Yo and Nene, the Little Witch Sisters, premiered in Japanese movie theaters on this date 10 years ago today. So there you go. So with that, I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight. I hope everybody got a lot out of it. Tomorrow, of course, I'll have RJ Carter joining me as we will be looking back. Comics went on sale in January of 1940. In which we will be looking at comics that went on sale from Dell. Be looking, not Dell. No, actually, Dell was last week. Actually, Harvey, or in this case, Book World Publications for one, and Worth Carnahan for the other. We'll be looking at Speed Comics Volume 1, Issue 6, and Champion Comics Volume 1, Issue 5. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.